Hello there, and today let's go back in time, because today I have something that 7 years ago every cool FPV pilot wanted to have. The brand new, never really used, still in the original box, original FrSky Taranis. Let's just quickly see if today, in 2022, this radio still makes any sense. The FrSky X9D Taranis was the first radio that tried to prove that you do not have to sell your kidney to have something that is considered a decent radio. Not the same quality as the Futaba maybe, but still good enough that the majority of the FPV pilots 7 years ago wanted to have the Taranis. One of my colleagues wanted to go into the FPV but never really did, and very recently decided just to finish everything with the FPV, to sell or give away everything he owned about the radio control and FPV, and this is how I got my hands on this thing. This thing was maybe powered on for a few times but never really used. It's still the original case with all the original accessories. There is the original neck strap, original charger, and you have no idea how much more convenient it is to be able to use the USB-C to charge your radio. There is even the original X8R receiver with, you see, with 2 antennas, and the Taranis itself. When you take the original Taranis into your hands, you feel that it feels slightly different, and the difference is in the weight distribution, because this radio is relatively back heavy and heavy in general. Why? Mainly because of the huge, and by huge I do mean huge in size, battery located over here. This is not the Lydion, this is still the Nimha technology battery that really feels like a solid chunk of weight on the back on the radio. There is, of course, over here, the connector for the battery, the slot for the SD card. This thing can be connected with the mini USB, who still uses the mini USB, and has the metal. Yes, this is metal, this is not something plastic or plasticish, not even aluminium. This is a solid piece of, I would not say steel, but still something that is very much magnetic handle. The throttle stick comes with the ratchet enable, and while this is absolutely fine when you are flying fixed wing airplanes line of sights, with the FPV this was most probably one of the first things you change when you got the radio. You just have to open it from the back and loosen one of the screws that holds the ratchet in place, because the smooth throttle is just a better throttle for the FPV. Besides that, the throttle stick feels kinda heavy and stiff, while the roll and the pitch are, I would have to say, slightly loose for the modern standards. But being stiff and heavy also applies to almost everything else, because the sliders extremely heavy comparing to, for example, what Radio Master offers. Sliders on the sides, both with a quite nice detent in the middle, and exactly the same thing applies to both of the potentiometers with the detent in the middle. You really have to use quite a lot of the force to move those potentiometers left and right. And of course the standard layout of the switches with a nice, maybe not the great, but still very nice detent. Besides that, 4 trims, a lot of buttons, and in the back the compartment when you can put the external TX module. And of course the very characteristic neck strap hook, which not only have the 4 holes so you can position the radio however you want to on your neck strap, but also acts as a protection for the power switch, because yes, this is a switch, you do not press it to power, you just slide it to turn the radio on. But when you power up the radio, very quickly you will discover that, although it's 7 years old, almost nothing changes in the OpenTX and how you use the radio and how you set up everything. You can just start using this, although the firmware in this radio comes from the 2015. You see? OpenTX Taranis Plus OpenTX version 2.1.6 compiled in the December 2015. On top of that, believe it or not, although the firmware and the radio comes from the 2015-2016, it already has the crossfire support, and you don't have to make any kind of the mods to put crossfire into it. After you update the firmware on this thing to the latest OpenTX or the EdgeTX, the world of supported TX module grows to almost everything that is on the market right now. Should work absolutely no problem with every single of the TX modules that you can physically put into the extension bay. So, is the FrSky Taranis still a good radio? Absolutely. It aged extremely well. There is no color LCD, and let's say that the general looks are not up to the modern standards, but besides that works absolutely fantastic. If you would like to know what I think about more modern radios, here's the video for you. I'm Paweł Spychalski, thank you very much for watching and happy flying!